Alright, got a quick little video for you guys today of a little discovery I ran across by accident actually. I was running some tier 17 Scarab maps and I had like a 100% chance to gain Ultimatum just randomly on my idols, and I decided to just start running it because I was running glittering scarabs and I was like, well, there's a bunch of monsters in Ultimatum, couple rares, like we'll just see how it does. And I was kind of surprised by the amount of mods that you can get for Ultimatum on idols, and I hadn't really looked into the strat too much. So I decided I was going to try some Ultimatum, and I went ahead and got idols to give me a 100% dupe chance, because you can get 25% chance to duplicate Ultimatum rewards. And so I got that on 4 of them, and then I was like, okay, well, how else can I juice Ultimatum, right? And I hadn't really looked at anything. So I was just looking at the scarabs and seeing what there was, and I realized that the expensive Ultimatum Scarab of Catalyzing makes it so that all of the rewards in an Ultimatum are catalysts. But whenever you pair this with the other Ultimatum Scarab of Inscription, it makes it so that all catalyst rewards are turned into inscribed ultimatums instead. Now this got me thinking, okay, well, what could I possibly get from inscribed ultimatums that would make it good, because obviously everything's going to be duped. So I was talking to my friend about it, and he was like, well, you have div card chance, currency chance, and unique chance that you can get on 3x1s. And we decided that the best probable outcome is most likely currency items, because div cards and unique is just too much of a gamble, whereas currency is a little bit more sustainable and just more reliable. So we ended up going with currency, and I got it on 4 of them. So it's quite a big chance to get currency item inscribed ultimatums. I was not expecting it to be as good as it ended up being. I was actually pleasantly surprised. By the time I started running the first, I think like 4 maps, I had already had like 40 divines or something worth of inscribed ultimatums, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, this has to be just some crazy luck or something. So I was like, all right, let me run 10 and see what we get. And I ended up with like 80 some divines after I ran 10 maps, and I was like, okay, I got to make this into a video now, because this is pretty insane, and I hadn't seen anything on it this league anyway. So I went ahead and started recording some information just on the maps themselves and started putting it into a spreadsheet so I can make a video out of it. I went ahead and did 50 maps. Now I will say I did end up calculating divines, exalts, annuls, sacred, orbs, time spent in the map, and then other drops that I got while I was in there. But for the first 10 maps, I only calculated the divines because that's all I had at the time, and I wasn't really keeping track of the other stuff. So the data's a little bit skewed, but I mean, for the most part, it's pretty accurate. What I will say is that the build was doing really well while running the ultimatums. I didn't die in a single ultimatum. I did lose one. I failed one because of ruin, which I will pop up on the screen. Ruin is like this thing that stacks like whenever monsters hit you, but it can be negated by evasion and block and a bunch of other things. But if you reach 7 ruin, you fail the ultimatum. And I believe in the ultimatum that I failed, I had a level 4 normal ruin, which just makes, I think, every monster give you ruin. I'm not really sure how that mod works. It's not very well explained. And then I had like a level 3 of the following ruin guy, which like follows you around and uses spells and stuff. So got ruined there and ended up failing. I think I lost like 4 divines or something like that. So definitely could have done better there, but I mean, overall pretty solid for only losing 1 to ruin. And I will say I ran some of the inscribed ultimatums before making the video from the first 10 maps I did, just to make sure that they were doable, and I haven't ran into any issues in them. So yeah, we're just going to add up what the actual inscribed ultimatums say that they are. So if I have an inscribed ultimatum that says 8 divines, for example, then that's what it's calculated as in the spreadsheet. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at it. I mean, the divine number is pretty big here because of that, but obviously some people can't run the inscribed ultimatums. I will say that you can sell them on like bulk trading discords and stuff like TFT, and I think like the 8 divine ones go for like 6 divines on there, the 4 divine ones go for like 3 divines, and then the 1 divine ones go for like half a divine or something. That is one thing I'll touch on real quick, is that you can get 1, 4, or 8, at least from what I've seen, and it can obviously be divines, exalts, or annuls. I have only gotten 1 sacred orb. I've not seen a 4 or 8 sacred orb, and I've not seen the mirrored rare item, which is expensive. I think it's like 450 div or something on TFT. Pretty crazy. But I will add in one little note, is that sometimes whenever you're running the ultimatum, the last wave will offer you something bad that you don't want. Then you just don't have to do that wave. Just end early. Like if you got to the last wave and you see the reward, then you don't want it. Just end the ultimatum. You don't have to waste the extra time. But one big tip is that if you can run most of the mods, what I would actually recommend doing is putting in this idol right here. So Grueling Gauntlet makes it so that the ultimatum encounters last up to 13 rounds, which actually gives you 3 additional, well, I guess technically 6 additional inscribed ultimatums, where I've definitely gotten some divine ones after round 10 using this. The problem with this is that you cannot choose the ultimatum modifier that is applied each round. So if you have some bad combos in ultimatum, definitely don't run this. It's still good to do it with just 10 rounds. And what I would recommend is if you're only doing 10 round ultimatums, you might as well just go ahead and throw in Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling, because it'll give you a unique boss or whatever, so you can fight Trial Master and then you get quite a bit of tainted catalysts. One nice thing about this strategy is that you actually can just run white maps, from what I can tell. I haven't seen any difference between just running white maps and 8 mod corrupted rare jungle valleys. I've just been running white maps and it's been fine. After the first 10, I've been getting about just as many of the inscribed ultimatums as I was before, so I'm pretty sure it's just capped at 26. I will say for scarabs, I am just doing this right here because I have 100% ultimatum chance. So if you don't have an ultimatum chance on your idols, which you 100% don't need, then you can just use this scarab and guarantee an ultimatum because there's an open slot, or you can craft it on your map device if you want. But I just don't see the point in adding an extra scarab into the mix because there's nothing really you gain out of it. And I will say these ones right here, they grant 300% increased XP. And it does say ultimatum encounters grant rewards as though you completed 2 additional rounds, which would be 4 with 2 of these. But I will say that it does not work with this strategy, at least as far as I can tell. Because if that's the case, then I should be getting 30 inscribed ultimatums or 34. I'm not real sure how the mod's supposed to work, but it only gives me 26. So I don't really think these are doing too much other than the increased XP, which I will say is kind of noticeable. I'm level 99. About to be level 100 here soon, but I got about 25% XP running 50 maps, so nothing too crazy at level 99, but respectable, and I wasn't dying. Which brings me over to the spreadsheet. So here's our spreadsheet. We got a bunch of divines here. You got exalts, annuls, sacred orbs, time spent in the map, notables, and I will say the average time spent in the map is about 4 to 5 minutes, depending which ultimatum you get. For the small idols, I was using increased chance to defeat waves of enemies and survive, although I will say wave of enemies with protect the altar is probably the best because those just require you to kill enemies. You can definitely see the difference. Like some of these are 322, some of them I ended early, so like 154 on this one because I got the one mod that actually kind of sucks for me, which is take 1000% lightning damage per mana cost or something like that. So whenever I get that one, I had to end early on this one because it was attack enemies, when I'd had it a few times on like stand in stone circles and survive, and I was perfectly fine. But overall, out of 50 maps, we spent a total of 100 div, 150 C, or nope, sorry, 102 div, 30 C total spent there. And as we see, we got 296 divines, 206 exalts, 54 annuls, 10 sacred orbs. And then we got a few notable drops. We got 8 patience in one map, 2 Voltaxic Rifts, 12 Divine Beauties, which is a full stack. And yeah, so I mean, it's super profitable. 296 div off of 102 is like actually insane. I was not expecting to get that much. But you can't go based off this time spent because, well, that's not actually giving me the divines. So clearly I have to still run the inscribed ultimatums here. I need to run through all these and actually claim the money. Alright, because this video is getting pretty long, I'm actually not going to run the inscribed ultimatums in this video. I did originally intend to, but I don't want the video to be super long. But I will say that I did actually realize after I ran the 50 maps that you can 5-to-1 vendor recipe bad ultimatums, which makes the strategy even better than what I initially put in this video. So keep that in mind as well. Pick up all the bad ones so you can vendor them and get good stuff. I'll show you here. We actually were picking up the 1 exalt ones early on, but I'm definitely not going to run those at this point. So yeah, you can just vendor 5 of these and you get a random ultimatum back. It's based in the same tier, I think. So like the Voltaxic Rift one that we got is the highest tier because that's a tier 0 unique. And you can see at the bottom here it says 200% more monster life. That's actually the tier of the ultimatum, I guess. So like this is the only 200% I have. And then I think the other one is 120% is like the tier 1 stuff maybe. I'm not 100% sure on it, but I'll leave a link in the description to a little Reddit post that I found kind of talking about this. But I would say that it's probably 30 to 40 div an hour if I had to take a random guess without like actually spending the time to run the ultimatums myself right now. But that's just my random guess. I would say it's 30 to 40 div an hour just on average. Anyways, though, I hope you guys all enjoyed. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be glad to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.